Leo Tolstoy was a titan of literature who laid bare the human condition with unflinching honesty. His life was a testament to the tumultuous dance between creativity and chaos, as he wrestled with the darkness and light that fueled his masterworks like War and Peace and Anna Karenina. Tolstoy's story is one you need to hear, because it's a reminder that the greatest writers are those who confront the hardest truths. Tolstoy's early life was marked by a sense of disjointedness, a feeling that would later become a hallmark of his writing. Born into a noble family in 1828, he was the fourth of 5 children, and his childhood was a complex web of privilege and loss. His mother died when he was just 2 years old, and his father's subsequent death 7 years later left him and his siblings in the care of relatives. This instability would shape Tolstoy's worldview, influencing his depiction of family dynamics in works like Childhood and Boyhood. As a young man, Tolstoy was drawn to the world of letters, though his educational journey was far from traditional. He studied law and Oriental languages at the University of Kazan, but his true interests lay elsewhere. He was particularly drawn to the works of the French writers, especially Rousseau and Voltaire, whose ideas on reason and individualism would later inform his own writing. It was during this time that Tolstoy began to develop his unique voice, one that blended elements of philosophy, psychology, and literature. Tolstoy's experiences as a soldier in the Crimean War had a profound impact on his writing, particularly in works like Sevastopol Sketches. The brutality and senselessness of war would become a recurring theme in his work as he struggled to reconcile the ideals of honor and duty with the harsh realities of conflict. This tension between the individual's moral code and the cruel whims of fate would become a hallmark of his writing, as seen in characters like Pierre Bezukhov in War and Peace. The influence of his contemporaries, such as Turgenev and Dostoevsky, can be seen in Tolstoy's exploration of the human condition. His relationships with these writers were complex, marked by a mix of admiration, rivalry, and criticism. Tolstoy's own place in the literary tradition was cemented by his innovative use of realist techniques, which brought a new level of authenticity to the novel form. However, this approach also drew criticism from some quarters, with accusations of being too focused on the mundane and the ordinary. Tolstoy's experiences as a soldier in the Crimean War left an indelible mark on his psyche. Much like a hunter's encounter with a fierce predator can forever alter their perspective on the natural world. The stark realities of war, the stench of death, and the cries of the wounded would haunt him for years to come, eventually finding expression in works like The Death of Ivan Ilyich and Master and Man. These stories, with their unflinching portrayals of mortality and human suffering, demonstrate Tolstoy's unique ability to distill the complexities of war into a singular, devastating truth. As he navigated the treacherous landscape of his own emotions, Tolstoy found solace in the writings of the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. The philosopher's ideas on the human condition, with its inherent struggles and suffering, resonated deeply with Tolstoy, who saw in them a reflection of his own experiences. This intellectual curiosity, coupled with his growing disillusionment with the excesses of aristocratic life, would eventually lead him to renounce his title and embrace a simpler, more austere way of living. Tolstoy's relationships with his contemporaries, particularly Turgenev and Dostoevsky, were complex and multifaceted. While he admired their literary talents, he was also fiercely critical of their approaches, often seeing in them a lack of authenticity or a tendency towards sentimentalism. His own writing, with its emphasis on realism and psychological insight, would eventually set him apart from his peers, earning him both acclaim and criticism in equal measure. The publication of War and Peace in 1869 marked a turning point in Tolstoy's career as it brought him widespread recognition and cemented his reputation as a literary giant. Yet, despite the novel's success, Tolstoy remained unsatisfied, feeling that he had only scratched the surface of the human experience. He continued to write, driven by a restless desire to explore the depths of human nature, to uncover the hidden truths that lay beneath the surface of everyday life. Tolstoy's experiences as a soldier had a lasting impact on his writing, but it was his personal struggles with faith and morality that would come to define his later work. His crisis of faith, which began in the 1870s, led him to question the meaning of life and the role of religion in society. This introspection would eventually give rise to works like A Confession and The Kingdom of God is Within You, where he grappled with the nature of spirituality and the search for truth. As he delved deeper into his own psyche, Tolstoy became increasingly fascinated with the concept of simplicity and the rejection of materialism. He began to see the excesses of aristocratic life as a hindrance to true spiritual growth, and his own wealth and status as a burden. This newfound awareness would lead him to renounce his title and embrace a more austere way of living, one that emphasized manual labor, self-sufficiency, and a connection to the natural world. Tolstoy's relationship with his wife Sonia was also undergoing significant changes during this period. While she had been a supportive partner in his early writing career, her growing discomfort with his newfound spirituality and simplicity would create tension in their marriage. Sonia's concerns about their family's financial security and social status would often clash with Tolstoy's desire to live a more authentic, uncomplicated life. The publication of Anna Karenina in 1877 marked another significant milestone in Tolstoy's career, as it cemented his reputation as a masterful storyteller and psychologist. The novel's exploration of love, family, and social class would resonate deeply with readers, and its innovative use of realist techniques would influence generations of writers to come. Yet, despite the novel's success, Tolstoy remained dissatisfied, feeling that he had not fully captured the essence of human experience. As he continued to write, Tolstoy became increasingly preoccupied with the concept of art and its role in society. He began to see literature as a means of conveying moral and philosophical truths rather than simply as a form of entertainment. This shift in perspective would lead him to write essays like What is Art?, where he argued that true art must be guided by a sense of morality and a desire to uplift humanity. Tolstoy's later years were marked by a growing sense of isolation and disillusionment with the world around him. His rejection of materialism and his embrace of simplicity had created tension with his family and friends, and his critiques of the Russian Orthodox Church had earned him many enemies. Yet, despite these challenges, Tolstoy remained committed to his art and his vision, continuing to write and publish works that would challenge and inspire readers for generations to come. Tolstoy's crisis of faith deepened as he delved into the works of Schopenhauer, Kant, and the Bible, seeking answers to life's fundamental questions. This introspection led him to question the role of the Russian Orthodox Church in society, and he began to see the institution as a hindrance to true spiritual growth. His critiques of the church would eventually earn him excommunication, but at this point, he was still grappling with the implications of his newfound beliefs. As Tolstoy's spirituality evolved, so did his views on art and literature. This shift in perspective is evident in his essay, What is Art?, where he argues that true art must be guided by a sense of morality and a desire to uplift humanity. Tolstoy's definition of art was not limited to literature. He believed that music, painting, and even architecture could be considered art if they conveyed a sense of moral purpose. Tolstoy's relationships with his contemporaries continued to be complex and multifaceted. His friendship with Vladimir Solovyov, a Russian philosopher and theologian, was particularly significant during this period. Solovyov's ideas on the nature of God and the universe resonated deeply with Tolstoy, and their conversations often lasted late into the night. However, Tolstoy's critiques of the Russian Orthodox Church would eventually drive a wedge between them, as Solovyov remained loyal to the institution. The publication of Resurrection in 1899 marked another significant milestone in Tolstoy's career. His restless desire to explore the depths of human nature would continue to drive him, even in his later years. Tolstoy's personal life was also undergoing significant changes during this period. His relationship with Sonia continued to be strained, as she struggled to come to terms with his newfound simplicity and rejection of materialism. The couple's arguments often centered on their differing views on how to live a meaningful life, with Tolstoy advocating for a simpler, more austere existence, and Sonia clinging to the comforts and security of their wealth. As Tolstoy's views on art and literature continued to evolve, he became increasingly fascinated with the concept of nonviolent resistance. His reading of Henry David Thoreau's Civil Disobedience had a profound impact on his thinking, and he began to see the power of peaceful protest as a means of effecting social change. This fascination would eventually lead him to write The Kingdom of God is Within You, a philosophical treatise that explored the relationship between Christianity and nonviolent resistance. His friendship with Mahatma Gandhi, who was deeply influenced by Tolstoy's ideas on nonviolent resistance, is a notable example. The two men exchanged letters, and Tolstoy's writings had a significant impact on Gandhi's development of the concept of satyagraha, or non-violent civil disobedience. Despite his growing reputation as a philosopher and social critic, Tolstoy's personal life remained marked by turmoil. His relationship with Sonia continued to deteriorate, and the couple's arguments often centered on their differing views on how to live a meaningful life. Tolstoy's rejection of materialism and his embrace of simplicity had created tension within the family, and his children struggled to come to terms with their father's newfound beliefs. As Tolstoy's health began to decline, he became increasingly preoccupied with the concept of death and the afterlife. His writings from this period, such as The Death of Ivan Ilyich and Master and Man, are marked by a sense of urgency and a deep exploration of the human condition. These works would go on to influence generations of writers, including authors like Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. Tolstoy's later years were also marked by a growing sense of disillusionment with the Russian Orthodox Church. His critiques of the Church had earned him many enemies, and he was eventually excommunicated in 1901. Despite this, Tolstoy remained committed to his spiritual beliefs, and his writings continued to explore the relationship between Christianity and social justice. As the years passed, Tolstoy's legend grew, and he became an international celebrity of sorts. Visitors from all over the world would come to see him at his estate, Yasnaya Polyana, where he would engage them in lively debates about philosophy, literature, and politics. Despite his fame, however, Tolstoy remained humble and dedicated to his craft, continuing to write and publish works that would challenge and inspire readers for generations to come. Through his works, he revealed the complexities and depths of our existence, laying bare the struggles and triumphs that unite us all. In his own words, the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity, a testament to the enduring power of compassion, empathy, and kindness. Tolstoy's legacy reminds us that true greatness lies not in the external trappings of success, but in the courage to confront our own vulnerabilities and to strive for a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. His life's work continues to resonate with us today, a powerful reminder of the transformative potential of art and ideas to shape our world and our souls. Like this episode if it hit true. Share it if you respect honest talk about authors. Subscribe because we'll do this again. This is Ernest, signing off.